Welcome back to another casted game on Highview, and today we got two platinum level players and I'm expecting some really interesting shenanigans. So on the north side of the map we have Power Steve as the Delhi Sultanate in green, and on the south side we have Dog 666 in purple as the Abbasid Dynasty. So as I mentioned, we are on Highview, and while we're looking at this we can check out their scouting paths. This map is a bit of Marmite, I find, where you either love it or you hate it. All of those stealth forests are really difficult to get vision around, so you can be really stealthy and do some nice attacks if your opponent doesn't have a lot of vision, but as the defender I always find it's really hard to know what's going on, especially if you haven't got towers all over the place. And the scouting path I think is always interesting on this map because you can see around here there's some little like paths up the side and stuff like that, and you need to be really careful where you're going because some of those sheep can go right up to the edges depending on where the stealth forests are. Because I guess maybe you didn't know, but the sheep will never spawn in the stealth forest. They might move there after the game's actually started, but they never actually go that way. Also, both of these civs are berry civs, which means they can be very aggressive. So, Pal Steve here going right around the back of the base to try and nick loads of his sheep here. And if we head over to this one, there we go. And I don't know why it's done that, there we go. So now if we look at Dog, he is also scouting, but he's not being nearly as aggressive, and now he's covering most of the same area. And you see here he's going into this large bit of stealth forest, and he's not really going to find a huge amount here, so you really want to make sure you're getting all of these non-stealth pockets, because that's where they'll be. But unfortunately, Power Steve has already come all the way around and taken all of those. And if we see over now, like, he's going to go right round the corner, so he's just going to have to be really careful to make sure with this scouting path here that he doesn't miss any sheep down the sides, because that can be a real problem when they really scoot along the edges. If we have a look at the bases, then we're going to probably be seeing fairly standard for the Delhi, so they're over on berries and they got a couple on gold ready to get that age up going, and all of those techs in check, so efficient production where you can put the scholars, yep, the scholars into your production buildings to boost the production speed, and then wheelbarrow and all that good stuff. Then if we go back over to Abbasid, he is aging up now with the economic wing. Now, I'm not sure about this choice. I think it's fairly standard for old Abbasid, like last season that was kind of the go-to, but really against a civ that can be so strong and so aggressive in feudal, do you really want to be going for eco wing with like 2TC or 3TC? Not so sure. Maybe there's a different plan on the cards, but we will wait and see. And kind of the standard to be expected, you've got Power Steve going for the Tower of Victory, which increases the attack speed of all infantry. So we should be seeing a lot of archers in this one, which is pretty standard for the Delhi Sultanate. So here we go, a couple of guys just taking a little snooze here. I'm sure they're going to find a tree in a second and they're going to move over there. And then we've got a house going down. Also, you would normally see the lumber cap going down early because you do get the forestry in Dark Age, so you can actually queue that up as the Delhi, but it's not, I would say, the most important. Now, let's see whether we see Power Steve here going for the classic, where the scholars here cost 130, so what you see a lot of people doing is they'll get two in Dark Age, oh no, one in Dark Age, sorry, and then they'll get just enough to get a second one, and then they'll pull off there, go straight to wood, and then get loads and loads of production going and all that good stuff. So if we check out their final scouting path, so Power Steve there has done pretty good for the majority of the map, and he's going back round to see what's going on in their base. Still hasn't scouted out the landmark, so I don't think he's going to see the economic wing just yet, but he is going to see that stone, so he's going to see no stone gathered so far, so I'd be pretty confused if I was him seeing eco with no stone gathered. And if we have a look at Dog, let's see what he can see. He is going around the base now to try and see the landmark, and again he's covered pretty much all of the map, so he'll know now where the sacred sites are because they spawn one in each corner and then the market in the opposite corner, so he'll know at least where those are, and the other will be in the center somewhere. So if we have a look, reveal the whole map, you can see, yeah, the center one there right under where I am, and then you've got them in the two diagonal corners, east and west. So now we're both in feudal, we're going to see what everyone's doing, and as I mentioned, there we go, Power Steve's going for that that scholar there so he can boost the production speed, or he can boost his research, and then he can start working on sanctity to get those sacred sites. So about 3 minutes out, it's going to be about 8:30, looking like 8:45, something like that, which is very, very respectable. But it might be a little bit slower because now we've got the scholar going in here, and we're going to be seeing some Ghazi. Really nice. I love these guys. The Delhi always used to have a problem against heavy units, and so the Ghazi were introduced with that little bit of extra damage against the against those heavy units, so that things like HRE men-at-arms couldn't just walk into the base and kill everything. And I don't know if you noticed that one. There we go. His scout was a bit too close, and his villagers caught the sheep there. So that's really nice from Power Steve, because he's managed to deny that food there from his opponent. So just something little, but if you ever see their scout coming really close to your villagers, run them over and get some of those sheep, and then that just means they're not going to be able to take those home. So those 3 are all he's going to have left. If we go back over to Abbasid, we can see... Oh wow, heavy. So 2 stables and an archery range. So I'm not sure exactly what production he's going for. I imagine it'll probably be camels, because then he's going to counter the Ghazi, which he's probably seen the production coming out for. But here we go. So here they come round, these Ghazis, these guys. So they're going to be going around trying to do as much damage as possible, and with all these stealth forests around, they should be able to sneak in and out. So let's see how they do here. So, here we go. They might have caught a villager. They're going to get a kill on that one. Very close. Not quite, but really nice. Oh, well, they did get it. Okay. Really nice there from Power Steve, pulling his Ghazis back so they don't die. So you do want to, if you can get a kill, that's great, but idling is better, and if you lose them, you're just losing all of those resources. And as you can see up here in the corner, while Power Steve is doing another great raid there, that's going to be some good damage. Even if those villagers don't die, all of that idle time, the whole economy, or half the economy is idle. That's really not good. And he's managed to pull them all back. Another good thing with the Delhi, because they do have those scholars at home, you can always take one of those injured ones, send it back, and just pop it out of the mosque and heal them up. But at the moment, just denying some of these resources, I think, is going to work really well. And there we go. Sonis is doing quite a good job here, moving over to another wood line, so when Power Steve comes in here to do another dive, then he's not really going to do anything there. If we go back over, we can see there's another Ghazi here, and there's a couple more dotted across the map, so once they all join up, and he's found him. So really nice scouting here from Power Steve, seeing all these villagers moving over, so they're going to be able to do some real damage, even with 2 scouts and a horseman. Not sure why we got 2 scouts, but maybe it was a bit of a misclick. And we can see blacksmith going up, so it's going to be a bit of a feudal game, I think, that we've got going. And if we go back over to Power Steve Space, he's just got the 1 blacksmith. Often you see with Delhi they go for 2, because they get the researches for free, but they're quite slow. So they usually go for 2, and then that means they can get all of those damage and armor upgrades much more easily. So I think this is, obviously, the numbers favour Power Steve, but also they have better base damage, so they get 12, whereas the horsemen only have 9, which means even if they were equal numbers, the Ghazi are actually going to do slightly better against the standard horses. So really not the situation you want to be in. You definitely want to see some of those spears, especially considering Abbasid have more powerful spears as well. So that's really, I think, what he should be doing there. And one thing Power Steve could have done there is just a little torch damage on the tower. Then if he did decide to cancel it, he would have lost some of those resources. Just something little, but it's always nice to try and deny some of those resources if you can manage it. And here's a couple of extra Ghazis joining up with the main crowd and running around causing some mayhem. So there's no more Ghazis in queue at the moment, and there's a lot of wood coming up. So not sure whether Power Steve's looking at dropping some more production, or he's got some plans for all of that wood. But we can see over here some walls coming up on the west side, trying to block that whole area off. I think these are quite aggressive, and so we're doing it with 6 villagers, and there's one really sick guy here, so let's hope that Power Steve doesn't catch him out, otherwise that's going to be a bad day for him. But they are coming around, so you never know, and this is really interesting. Very early farm transition here from Swanistog. I think he's maybe feeling a little nervous about going out onto any of the other resources. He's got a few berries here, but it's not going to be enough to sustain him because he's producing horsemen. And so rather than trying to go out on the map and maybe get some of these sneaky berries over here, he's tried to wall in and do a farm transition, but that's really going to slow him down and mean that Power Steve has kind of got control. But because he stopped producing, this isn't going to be a very good fight where they... Let's see, yeah, because a lot of them were injured. The horsemen there are taking out most of the Ghazis. Now the military count is looking a lot more even and giving Swanistog a little bit more room to manoeuvre. But we do see some more coming in, so that's really going to do it. Unfortunately, I think for Swanistog, because he went for this eco wing, he didn't have those early military units to push off these horses, and I think going for horses probably is the wrong play, because you could just get some spears, drop them in the corner, and then the Ghazis wouldn't really be able to do a huge amount. So I think potentially the wrong building. Even if you went camels, because they do debuff cavalry, that could have been a good shout, but obviously they're a lot more expensive, so that's probably why. And we can see here, we've already got the sacred site in the middle. We're getting the one at the top and hoping the wolf doesn't do too much damage, while the Ghazis are back in the base doing some raids and getting chased around by all of these horses. But if we look at the thing, 6 Veal kills, and Swanistog is just about keeping up, so maybe Power Steve missed a couple of Veals there, but generally he's going to be doing much better overall. And we can see some more Ghazis going in the front, and this is what I mean about the tower's pretty good. It's gonna cause some damage, but if those horses decided to dive and just said, you know, we want to get the kills, they just run straight past it. If there's a couple of spears there, they'd brace and they'd knock them out. But now he's trying to get that TC, but yeah, I'm not quite sure whether that's the right play when you've got Ghazis running around outside, and you know, Power Steve's got these sacred sites, so he's either gonna be going up to Castle Age or maybe making a market and selling or buying resources. So if we see here, loads of production, but unfortunately the rally point's not been set, so they're just chilling at home, you know, having a bit of a break, waiting for the party to begin. And so here we go, and all of these horses are now running around, so let's hope, there we go, we pulled them off, because one thing you've got to be careful of, if they're chasing those horsemen, if Power Steve just decides to pull them back to the base, and then all of those spearmen come out, then that just means that they're all going to get cleaned up without even realising it. But unfortunately, another raid here, really good stuff here from Power Steve, pulling his units around and hitting from different sides, and he's really forced out these walls here, which aren't quite up yet, so if Power Steve's quick, but unfortunately he's being helped out by the wolf here, so let's hope he doesn't get too much damage, otherwise that villager's not going to be having a very good day. Oh no, he might be getting it, one more, oh. And I think he's just about escaped there. Luckily that villager, but he is running out of the fire, or out of the wolf into the fire, it looks like. So he might as well just sit there and wait for the inevitable, I think. But we can see a stream of units coming over now, so they're all going to be coming over. And the scholars are in there for that extra production as well. So lots of resources coming up and going to be moving into Castle Age. But he's got to watch out because he's getting counter-raided up here, and that's going to do some real damage. So counter raids at the top, and then he's just broken down the wall at the bottom, but not pushing in yet, so I'm not sure whether he's going to go home to defend or whether he's just going to do it. But all of those 5 villagers on the deer gone down there, so now it's evened out that villager count. So the Ghazis and a couple of spears inside the base, just circling around very gently. And if we go to Swanistog's vision here, he can't see them hiding in the fog of war, but what he can see is Power Steve's base up here. So this is where these spears really need to be popping out and doing some damage, but that's really not a good place. And all of these villagers just trapped by the horsemen now, getting really pinched. But they're doing some counter raids at the top, so it's really raid on raid on raid. So to see who can do the most damage, we'll just have to see. But the villager count, or the villager kills, that I guess is the main number now, is fairly even, and they're literally just hitting punch for punch both sides. But because of those extra spears coming out quickly with efficient production, all of those horses at the top cleaned up, and the ones at the bottom are still managing to get on. And unfortunately these spears are just going to be a bit too late, and the Ghazis have got free rein. Oh no! these are Power Steve spears. It's difficult to keep up with all the spears and horses running around, but these guys completely unnoticed at the back, really getting more of those villager kills in there. So now we're back down to basically no military now for Swanistog, and Power Steve is really going to be getting more, plus he's getting his landmark up for Castle Age, so I think this puts Swanistog in a really tough position. And even though he's cleaning up these spears, he's getting to take out a couple more horses along the way as well. So now the eco's coming round, and this Castle Age is just about to go up with the House of Learning, with all those really nice interesting techs, especially for men-at-arms and houses and vision. So you've got all of these special unique technologies that are all free, and you just have to wait a couple of minutes for each of them to come in. And with all that gold, he should be able to get loads of scholars and picking up relics. But that was it. I think too much damage, no military, and now he's hit castle, and I think that's where you have to call GG. The economic wing not quite the right play in this match against the Delhi. Okay, so now we're back again. I like to look at the stats at the end, and I thought it'd be really interesting to just come a few seconds before the game ends, and we can have a little look at their bases and to see how the ecos look and compare. So if we have a look at Power Steve's base, we've got a load of nice production here. So we've got 2 stables, 2 barracks, and a range. So we've got loads of production. So when he does hit Castle Age there, he's really going to start pumping those out. And as for food, he was out on the deer over here, but those got cleaned up by horses a little moment ago. So I can't see him out on any exposed resources, but he is moving over to the deer at the back. There we go. So he was going to be out there somewhere. Maybe I would have gone to these ones, to the berries here and to the berries at the back, because you've got the sacred site, and a couple of spears could have just walled in along the back here, because even just one wall across here, maybe even just a little bit further forward here with the gold, and even one little wall here literally could have protected the sacred site, 2 berries, stone, and gold, and you would have got the relic as well, as long as you don't get eaten by the Tiki Wolf. But overall, I think generally pretty good base setup, and the fact that he's not had to do the farm transition yet, and he did really well for the sheep count, I think that's worked in his favour. Obviously, a lot of wood here, so maybe swapping those round a bit, and maybe even going for a little bit of stone or a little bit of gold could have helped. But generally, lots of production ready to start pumping out. And if we go back over to Swanistog's side, see lots of farms in here. So if we have a little look, if we swap over the perspectives, here we go. So we've got 25 farms this early. So if you think there's 75 each, I can't do the maths off the top of my head, but that's a lot of wood that hasn't been used for other things. And there's a TC coming down here, but at the 15-minute mark when you went Eco Wing, you really don't want to be getting a second TC then. Although you do want to catch up on the villagers, you want to be getting that TC up 6-7 minutes, and then you've had 10 minutes of really pumping out those villagers. But apart from that, he's gone super defensive here with the walling, which I think is okay. I think it's quite close, which is good. It does get that gold, which is quite nice. The wall at the back here, using the resources to reduce the wood count, I think is quite clever. Again, and then at the front, this wall round here in the tower, I do think, as I mentioned, that the tower is probably okay, but the problem I think is that if you go for mass horsemen against Ghazi, then you're just literally just smashing horsemen against horsemen, whereas a couple of spears, even defensive spears, would have worked really well, because I know when I'm running horsemen round, I can't say I'm always the best at avoiding those pointy guys. So if we have a little look, I think overall Power Steve has got 2 of the sacred sites. He hasn't got the 3rd one, whether that was decapped or whether it was just that the scholar didn't make it over there, but I think he's in a really good position with 2 scholars and 2 in queue to get the relics. I would probably consider doing it a bit like HRE, that as soon as you start aging up, maybe chucking your scholars out to these relics. If they were sitting here on these 2 exposed ones out here and maybe the one in the centre, then literally as soon as you age up, you can just pick them all up, send them all home, and you've already got the mosque to put them in, and then you really start pumping out all of that gold along with your sacred sites. But I think a really strong position for Power Steve here, and I think Swanistog was in real trouble. But a super interesting game, and I hope you've had fun. I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of analysis at the end, and I will see you in the next one.